You're very welcome back. Now, many of you will know Caron Tuathal is Ireland's highest peak at 3,407 feet. I knew that off the top of my head. I'm just mad to heights.
That will be a warm-up for our next guest, because Micheál and Owen Brogan are with us now. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
First up, can we talk about your love of climbing before we get into Everest and all of that? Where did it begin for you, Micheál?
Started for me in high school. My form teacher was an avid canoeist, and he started an outdoor pursuits club in the school. So he introduced us to canoeing, hill walking, caving in Fermanagh, a bit of rock climbing. So when we did the rock climbing, that's when it really kicked in. It's where I found an activity that I thought I could spend a lot of time doing.
And what about yourself, Owen?
Mine was all from my dad. So it was from the age of 7, he was taking me down to Wales to climb Snowdon. Then by 14, we were off to Africa doing Kilimanjaro together.
What?
And, yeah.
14. We don't even play Mario Kart together. and the pair you were doing, in terms of your obviously it strengthens your relationship, but dealing with a teenager, Micheál, emotionally and in terms of arguments and that kind of thing, how did you manage that?
At 14, he just sort of switched during the preparation to Killy. He just became a teenager. So
fantastic.
It's fine. We're very easy in each other's company. So.
Really? But that's great.
Micheál, it was always a dream of yours since you were a young fella at 12 to climb Mount Everest.
Yeah, at 12, I read the story of George Mallory and Sandy Irvine, and it's something stuck with me on that. It was the first time I thought I'd really like to climb Everest at the age of 12, and then over the years that kind of evolved to I want to climb Everest, and then I'm going to climb Everest.
Yeah, and I suppose like the evolution from it being a fantasy to a reality, it that takes time. It takes a lot of time.
It took a lot of time for me. Yes.
What other mountains did you climb in the run up to beforehand?
So we kind of decided that we'd do together. Well, Owen suggested that we do together probably in July of 22. And from as soon as he suggested it, we started planning and training for it. So we set a few milestones along the way. I think the first one was some winter climbing in Scotland. We did Ben Nevis together in winter. And then the next one was going to Mont Blanc in June.
In France, yeah.
In France, yeah.
Quite a dangerous mountain to summit, right?
It is, and the conditions weren't great.
Zero visibility, couldn't see my own hand putting it out in front of you.
But really good guides and really well looked after. It was
they got us home safe. They knew what they were doing. I
mean, when you're hiking around the world, weather plays a huge role in what you do.
Massively, yeah.
It's a big worry on Everest. So there's only about a week, a 10-day window every year for being able to summit, and if that window ends up being in the bad weather, you might just turn back because of that.
What do you, when you're not climbing a mountain, I suppose, what are you doing, or I don't mean in terms of your work, but like in your downtime, how are you training?
So there's pretty much training. I'm so proud of Owen the way he kind of dedicated himself for the last 2 years in terms of his preparation. So it's there'd be gym work, running, cycling. You're pretty much doing something every day, and then trying to get out into the hills as often as you can.
A bit of bouldering.
Bit of bouldering.
Yeah. Bouldering?
Yeah.
What's bouldering?
Bit rock climbing.
Rock climbing
without ropes, so it's low level, maybe more technically difficult, but no gear, no ropes.
Yeah. And unexpected challenges, I suppose that's what it is. I mean, you need to be able to improvise in these situations and be able to react to whatever the climb throws at you.
Yeah, it really is a mental battle. We think it's probably 40% in your head, and the adage, I know it's a cliche, but the adage is whatever comes up, we'll adjust, we'll adapt, we'll overcome it. I know it's a quote, I think, from a movie, but it's pretty much that. Whatever's thrown at you, you'll just find a way to try and get around it.
When did you finally go up? When did you finally get up the mountain? Sorry to
we went up on the 23rd of May and summited in the morning of the 24th.
Right, and you just
There's a great photo.
Look at that. Oh my word.
So that's Camp 2. We're just leaving there to go up.
I mean, Micheál, only 11,997 people have successfully climbed Mount Everest.
That's successful summits.
Successful summits, yeah. I mean, you failed on your first attempt.
Well, my first attempt, I went to do a Camp 3 climb, which is to the South Col. And once that was agreed and I'd signed up for it, the company, Summit Climb, came back to me and said, look, if it all goes perfectly and you're happy and you're acclimatised, we've got the option where you could swap over to the summit team. So I took them up on that offer. As it turned out, it didn't go perfectly, and I made a decision after the acclimatisation to Camp 2. I thought it'd be more prudent to go home.
I mean, there's only 64 Irish people have gone up, but 9 women, 55 men, including yourselves. Yeah. The average age is 35. You're now in your 55th year. Now, you're looking smashing on it. But, I mean, you're outside the average bracket, right?
Yeah, and I think overall, generally speaking, I'm way outside the average bracket. I think the oldest man to climb is a Japanese gentleman at 83. So in that sense, there's plenty more time. But with the training, Owen and I have run together, done a lot of triathlon together. The training is kind of constant. I still feel fit and active.
Yeah,
I did start to think, though, if I don't do it soon, I'm going to miss the opportunity.
You'll age out. Yeah, you're still well able. You're fitter than I am, certainly. In terms then of being a father and son going up the mountain, and there was a little bit of a worry with this climb that you weren't going to make it to the top. Owen, for you, looking at your dad, I mean, it's one of the most important people in your life.
Yeah.
Are you thinking, look, turn around. There's nothing to prove here. We don't need to do this. Or
no, I was the wind in his sails, and he was for me as well. I was going to be pushing him as much as I could to make it up there. I think we both, like we say, it's a big mental battle, and a lot of the time you do have the thoughts creep in of I could pack it in, I could go home, and being there for each other to pick each other up and keep going.
We have some daytime shots on there. I mean, the helicopter was nearly called at one stage, right, Owen?
On my way down, it was for me. I got some frostbite in the toes, and they were talking about getting me off and down to base camp, back down to Kathmandu to have them checked out.
Now, conditions there look absolutely beautiful. That is not the norm up Mount Everest, right?
No, yeah, we got incredibly lucky with the weather. We had the completely still night on summit day, full moon night. You didn't need your head torches. Yeah. You could light your way by the moon. It was gorgeous. We've
actually got some really nice nighttime footage here. We're going to just stay silent for a moment and just listen to the crunch. I mean, it's a very solitary experience, right, when you're up there.
Gosh, yeah, you're very much in your own head as well, focusing on the next step.
Every single step so hard. One thing you can't get away from as well. It's very high up, isn't it?
yeah.
It's very high up.
It is very high up, isn't it? Yeah. So once you
Funny
guys,
that,
isn't it? You guys then see like that. You're focused on one thing. Each step, make each little piece of it, each little bit of the climb until we get all the way to the top. You didn't realise then that you were unique in that you were the first father and son to do it.
No, it was probably a couple of weeks in before it was mentioned to us. There's a gentleman who runs a website, irish7summits.com, Paul Devaney, and he records anyone from the island of Ireland who attempts an 8,000 metre peak. He's a very comprehensive list and data on that site. And he pointed out is that if these two men are successful, they'll be the first Irish father-son. So.
I mean, you were separated for the final stretch. What happened there, Owen?
So the day before summit, Dad had a
tough day.
A tough day, yeah. A slower day than he'd had for the rest of the climb. And what you want to do on summit day is stagger the release so that everyone summits at the same time around 5 a.m. All get there for sunrise. And so based on the previous day's performance, we set him off a couple of hours before me.
Give him a head start.
Give him a head start. And then we met up. You'd been on the summit 15, 20 minutes by the time I caught you up. And we got our photo together and then...
And I believe his words were, what took you so long?
Yeah. He's not going to let me live down that he got there first, I guarantee.
Yeah, but now you're a huge congratulations and you're record breakers. The tattoo.
Yes.
Can we have a look at it? Or can we...
This was done 2 years ago when we made the promise to do Everest. I sort of decided, since I've done Everest and Kilimanjaro and now Mont Blanc in the training as well, I may as well go for the 7 summits.
Absolutely.
So we've got them. I'll be dating them and ticking them off as I go, is the plan.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here this morning. We really enjoyed our interview. Congratulations on being the first father-son duo as well. What an achievement. Get yourselves up, Karen Toohill. Next up, you don't want to miss very cute puppies are coming to pay us a visit. Stay with us.
We'll be back after this.